You've probably heard the song, maybe 100 times. It comes on the radio every December. It's on holiday playlists, it's part of the sound of Christmas, the orchestra swells, the choir sings behind him. His voice is rich and deep, full of a gentle sadness. He sings about coming home, he promises he will be there, you can count on him. The song ends with a hopeful, yet lonely line. He says he'll be home, if only in his dream. It's a bittersweet thought, the music fades out, the strings hold one last long note. And then just as the song disappears into silence, you hear it. A whisper. It's quiet, it's close, it sounds like he's speaking right into your ear. It's not part of the song. It feels like a secret. A message left behind after the performance was over. He says a few words, a simple holiday greeting. Then it's gone. For years, people have wondered about that whisper. Why is it there? Who was he talking to? It feels too personal to be for everyone. It's an intimate moment on a world-famous recording. It breaks the barrier between the performer and the listener. For a second, he's not a superstar. He's just a man speaking softly after the music stops. To understand the whisper, you have to understand the man, and you have to understand the year. The year was 1957. He was, at that moment, the most famous person in the world. He's a force of nature. He had changed music forever. He had changed culture forever. He was 22 years old. Just a few years earlier, he was a truck driver from Memphis. A shy kid who loved his mother. He sang gospel music in church. He loved the blues he heard on Beale Street. He took all of that, mixed it together inside him, and something new came out. Something powerful, something the world had never seen or heard before. By 1957, he was a king, but he was a controversial one. Teenagers loved him. They screamed. They fainted. They bought his records by the millions. Their parents, however, were not so sure. They saw him on television on the Ed Sullivan Show. They saw him move his hips. They heard his voice, a sound that was both tender and tough. They thought he was dangerous. A bad influence. Pastors preached against him. Newspapers wrote editorials condemning him. Cities tried to ban his concerts. He was caught in the middle of a cultural storm he had created. He was a symbol of rebellion. But that wasn't the whole story. It wasn't even the most important part of the story to him. Behind the flash, behind the gold jackets and the swiveling hips, he was still that kid from Tupelo. He was still a boy who loved his mama more than anything. Her name was Gladys. She was the center of his universe. He was her only surviving child. His twin brother Jesse was stillborn. That loss created a bond between mother and son that was incredibly strong. They were two parts of a whole. He promised her when he was a poor boy that one day he would make it big. He would buy her a big house and a pink Cadillac. And he did. Earlier that year, in the spring of 1957, he bought Graceland. It was a mansion on a hill in Memphis. It wasn't for him, it was for her. It was the fulfillment of his promise. A place where his family, his parents, could live in comfort and security. A safe harbor from the crazy world of his fame. He was building a world for them. A world he could come home to. So, in the summer of 1957, he went into a studio in Hollywood to record a Christmas album. This was a big deal. His record label, RCA Victor, knew it would be a huge seller. But for him, it was personal. Christmas music, like gospel music, was sacred. It was the music of his childhood. It was the music of his mother. The album he made was just like him. It was split into Once I Was Full of Brand New rock and roll Christmas songs, bluesy, stomping, full of swagger. Songs like Santa Claus is Back in Town. That was the rebel, the king of rock and roll. The other side was different. It was traditional, it was reverent. He sang the classics, Silent Night, Oh, Little Town of Bethlehem. His voice was pure and sincere. This was the church boy, the son. He wanted to show the world both sides of himself. He wanted his mother to be proud. In the middle of these sessions, he recorded one particular song. It wasn't a happy, upbeat holiday tune. It was a song born of wartime. It was written during World War II. It was a song from the perspective of a soldier, far from home. A soldier writing a letter to his family. He tells them he is coming home for Christmas. He asks them to prepare for his arrival. Snow, mistletoe, presents on the tree. But the final line reveals the sad truth. He will only be there in his dreams. It's a song about longing, about separation. It's about the deep human ache to be with the people you love during a special time. Bing Crosby had made it famous more than a decade earlier. His version was comforting, like a warm blanket. It gave hope to a nation at war. When the young king sang it, the feeling was different. His voice had a raw vulnerability. He wasn't just performing a song. He was living it. He understood what it meant to be far from home. His life was a constant tour. A blur of cities and hotels and screaming crowds, he was surrounded by people, but he was often lonely. Home with his mother and father in Memphis was his anchor, so he's in the studio. Radio recorders in Hollywood. The lights are low, the session musicians are in place. The Jordanaires, his backing vocal group, are ready. He steps up to the microphone. The orchestra begins the gentle introduction, and he sings. He sings the words of a soldier who misses his family. And every line feels true. He was facing his own kind of deployment. At the peak of his fame, with the world at his feet, he had received a notice from his country. He was being drafted into the United States Army. Think about that. The biggest star on the planet was about to become a private. He would have to trade his gold suits for an army uniform. He would have to cut his famous hair. He would be sent far away, to Germany, for 2 years. He didn't know what would happen to his career. He didn't know if people would remember him when he came back, but more than that, he knew he would have to leave his mother. And Gladys was not well. Her health had been declining. She worried about him constantly. The stress of his fame, the criticism, the crazy fans, it all took a toll on her. He was her baby boy, and the world was trying to pull him apart. Now, the army was going to take him away from her. This would be his last Christmas at home for a long time. It would be their first Christmas in their new home, Graceland. The home he had bought for her, it was supposed to be a happy time, a celebration of everything they had achieved. But there was a shadow hanging over it, the shadow of his departure, the shadow of her illness. He pours all of that into the song. The loneliness, the uncertainty, the deep love for his family. He gets to the final line. If only in my dreams. The orchestra holds the last note. The choir hums softly. The song fades away. In that moment of silence, he leans into the microphone. He's not singing anymore. He's just speaking. And he whispers those words. A simple, quiet holiday greeting. It wasn't planned. It wasn't on the sheet music. It was a spontaneous thought. A personal message that got caught on tape. Who was he talking to? Some people might think it was for a girlfriend. He was a handsome young man, after all. He was always dating someone, but the whisper doesn't feel romantic. It feels familial. It feels like something you would say to someone you've known your whole life. Someone who knows your heart. The producers could have taken it out. It was a mistake, technically. An ad-lib after the take was finished. But they left it in. They must have understood that it was special. It was a moment of pure, unguarded honesty. It made the song even more powerful. Most people who knew him, who knew his story, believe there was only one person he could have been talking to. He was singing a song about being far from home, knowing he was about to be sent far from home. He was thinking about the one person who was his home. He was thinking about Gladys. The whisper was for his mother. It was a private Christmas card sent out to the whole world by accident. It was his way of telling her, in that quiet moment, that he was thinking of her. That even from a cold recording studio in Hollywood, his heart was with her in Memphis. It was a promise. No matter where the army sent him, no matter how far away he would be with her. Even if it was only in his dreams. The Christmas album was released in October 1957. It was a massive success. That holiday season, his voice was everywhere, singing about a blue Christmas and a silent night. And at the end of that one song, that quiet whisper reached millions of ears. Most people probably didn't even notice it, but it was there. A secret message of love. He spent that Christmas with his family at Graceland. It was their first and their last in the new home altogether. In March of 1958, he reported for duty. He became Private Presley. The world watched as he got his hair cut. He was sent to basic training in Texas and then to Germany. While he was on leave from basic training that August, he rushed home to Memphis. As Gladys was in the hospital, her health had gotten much worse. He stayed by her side. A few days later, she died. She was only 46 years old. He was heartbroken, devastated. The center of his world was gone. The person he did everything for was gone. He never truly got over it. People said he was never the same again. A part of the light inside him went out forever. After her death, that whisper on the record takes on a new meaning. It's no longer just a sweet message. It becomes a ghost. It's a final, tender goodbye, captured forever in wax. It's a time capsule of a love between a mother and her son, recorded just months before she was taken from him. When you listen to the song now, and you know the story, it's impossible not to hear it. The song itself is sad enough. A beautiful melody about longing and distance. But it's the whisper that breaks your heart. It tells a deeper story, a story about a young man who had everything the world could offer: fame, fortune, adoration. But the only thing he really wanted was to be home with his mom. He knew he was going to lose that, at least for a while. He had no idea how permanent the loss would be. The Whisper is a reminder that behind every legend, there is a human being. A person with a family, with fears, with a heart that can be broken. It's a moment of vulnerability from a man who was forced to be strong in front of the world. He let his guard down for just a second and the microphone caught it. It's one of the most honest moments in his entire recorded catalog. There are no producers, no arrangements, no grand performance. It's just his voice, soft and sincere. It's a message from a son to his mother, hidden at the end of a song, telling her he loves her, telling her he'll be home. He was a king, yes, but he was also a boy who missed his mom. That's why he whispered. It wasn't a secret code, it wasn't a marketing gimmick. It was real. A tiny piece of his heart left on the tape for everyone to hear, whether they knew it or not. The song, of course, is I'll Be Home for Christmas.